The cafeteria buzzed with chatter, trays clattering, and laughter echoing off the walls. But in the middle of it all, one table's laughter carried a different weight sharp, cruel, aimed directly at a quiet black girl who just wanted to eat. In peace, day after day, the bully's words cut deeper, drawing eyes, whispers, and smirks from the crowd. No one expected her to fight back. No one thought she had it in her. But beneath her silence was a strength the bully could never imagine. And when the moment came, the entire room would learn a lesson they'd never forget. Her name was Amara. At just 16, she had learned the art of staying invisible. In a school where every hallway felt like a stage and every step was judged, she preferred to keep her head down, books close to her chest, and her circle of friends small. Most days it worked. She'd sit quietly in class, answer when called upon, and slip through the crowded halls unnoticed. No matter how careful she was always different. That was where the lines were drawn. Tables divided by cliques, by fashion, by race. The louder kids ruled the center, while students like Amara took the edges, hoping not to be noticed. But even the edges weren't safe. For weeks, she had been the target of one particular girl, a bully, who saw Amara's silence as weakness. The comments started small: a snide remark about her hair, a cruel laugh about her skin, a mocking tone about the food she brought from home. Little things that, when added up, made each meal feel like a battle she hadn't signed up for. Amara never told her parents. She never told the teachers. She figured if she ignored it long enough, the bully would get bored and move on. Truth was, ignoring it only made it worse. The bully grew bolder, sharper, more determined to humiliate her in front of the crowd. And every time it happened, Amara felt the room closing and eyes watching, some pitying, some entertained, but none brave enough to speak. Yet what no one knew, not the bully, not the crowd, not even Amara's closest friends, was that outside of school she trained almost every evening. Her father had enrolled her in martial arts years ago, not for fighting, but for discipline, focus, and self-respect. She carried that strength quietly, never flaunting it, never hinting at the hours of practice and the resilience it built in her. But there's only so much a person can take before silence becomes strength in motion. And as you hear this, ask yourself, if you were in Amara's place, sitting at that table with every eye waiting to see what you'd do, would you have stayed silent? Or would you have finally stood up? The lunchroom became a stage of humiliation. And Amara, the unwilling performer, every day the bully grew louder, more creative, more cruel. One day it was the way she wore her hair, natural and coiled, dismissed as wild. Another day it was the food from home, called weird, while others laughed at the smell. And on the worst days, it was her skin, the very thing she could never change. Mocked openly, the bully's voice slicing through the cafeteria like a knife. Each insult drew laughter, each laugh a reminder that she was alone in a crowd of hundreds. Amara kept her head low, pushing food around her tray, pretending not to hear. But inside, the anger grew. Not just anger at the bully, but at the silence of everyone else. She saw the glances, some sympathetic, some indifferent, but no one spoke up. It was as if her dignity was worth less than the risk of becoming the bully's next target. The bully thrived on that silence. She strutted through the cafeteria like it was her kingdom, always looking for an audience. And Amara, quiet, studious, and unassuming, was the perfect victim. Every insult fed her power, every laugh made her bolder. But Amara's evenings were a different story. In the dim light of the martial arts dojo, she became someone else entirely. There, she learned balance, precision, and control. She learned that power wasn't about throwing the first punch. It was about knowing you could and choosing when to use it. Her instructors drilled discipline into her. Never fight for pride. Never fight for attention. Only fight when there is no other way. She had lived by those rules for years. Now at school, that discipline was being tested. The breaking point came on a Friday. The cafeteria was packed, the energy high, the weekend around the corner. The bully walked in with her entourage, eyes scanning for her daily entertainment. She spotted Amara immediately, sitting quietly with her tray, head down as always. The bully smirked, grabbed a carton of milk, and with a flick of her hand, spilled it across Amara's lap. The room went silent for a beat, waiting. Amara froze, the cold liquid soaking her clothes, dripping off the edge of the bench. The bully's laughter filled the silence, followed by the chorus of her friends. Cameras flashed, phones recording, ready to capture another moment of humiliation. But Amara's hands didn't shake this time. Her breath steadied. She stood slowly, eyes level, posture straight. For the first time, she didn't look like prey. She looked like someone who had finally reached her limit. The crowd sensed it. Whispers rippled. Phones rose higher. Anticipation. Thick in the air, the bully smirked wider, confident this would end like every other day with Amara walking away in silence. But this time, something was different. Something powerful was about to break free, and the room could feel it. Would Amara finally unleash the strength she had kept hidden for so long? Or would the bully succeed in crushing her one last time? Cafeteria felt like it had shrunk to a single circle. Amara and the bully at its center. The bully stepped closer, emboldened by the crowd, her voice sharp and mocking. She shoved Amara's tray off the table, food scattering across the floor. Gasps rippled through the students, phones capturing every second. The bully leaned in, expecting tears, expecting retreat. But Amara didn't move back. Her eyes, calm and steady, locked onto the bully's. The room seemed to still, every sound fading into silence. Then, in one controlled motion, Amara shifted. Her stance, shoulders squared, feet firm. It wasn't aggression, it was discipline. The kind she had mastered in hours of training. The bully, thrown off by the sudden change, sneered and reached forward, aiming to shove her again. That was her mistake. With a swift, precise movement, Amara caught the bully's wrist, pivoted, and redirected the force. In seconds, the bully was off balance, stumbling to the floor with a thud that echoed across the room. Gasps turned into stunned silence. Amara didn't strike, didn't lash out. She simply stood tall, her breathing calm, her presence commanding. Up, furious and embarrassed, charging again in blind rage. But Amara anticipated it. A sidestep, a controlled sweep of the arm, and the bully was on the ground once more. This time the crowd erupted, not with laughter, but with shock and awe. Phones captured every angle, every movement, spread like wildfire. Amara wasn't just quiet, she wasn't weak. She was strong, trained, and unshakable. The bully, red-faced and shaking, stayed down. For once her words failed her. Amara didn't gloat, didn't humiliate her in return. She simply stood in silence, letting the message settle into every watching eye. Her silence was never weakness. It was restraint. And now the question lingered in the air, hanging heavy over the stunned cafeteria. What would happen next? Would the bully rise for revenge? Or had Amara already ended a battle that was never hers to begin with? The room that once echoed with cruel laughter was now heavy with silence, every student processing what they had just witnessed. They had watched Amara endure humiliation, each insult stacking higher than the last. But in less than a minute, everything had shifted. The bully, who had thrived on attention, now sat frozen on the floor, stripped of her power by her own arrogance. The audience, phones still raised, didn't laugh this time. They recorded history, a moment no one would forget. Amara didn't speak. She didn't need to. Her posture alone carried the weight of her victory. It wasn't about fists or bruises. It was about control, discipline, and the refusal to be broken. By standing tall and defending herself without cruelty, she turned the cafeteria into a lesson far louder than any insult the bully had ever hurled. In the days that followed, the video spread beyond those walls. Students replayed it, shared it, whispered about it in hallways. For once, Amara's silence wasn't mistaken for weakness. It was seen for what it truly was, strength. And as for the bully, Her reign ended that day. She walked the halls differently, shoulders lower, laughter dimmed. The balance of power had shifted, not through violence, but through the undeniable presence of someone who refused to bow down. Amara carried on as always, books in hand, steps steady, head high. But now, the world saw her differently, and maybe, more importantly, others who had suffered in silence saw themselves in hurt-proof, that strength. It doesn't always have to shout to be heard. But here's the truth. Amara's story is more than just a cafeteria fight. It's a reminder of the racial and social battles faced quietly by millions, battles the world too often overlooks. So ask yourself how many Amaras are sitting silently right now, waiting for the moment they can finally stand. And when they do, will the world be ready to listen?